Yes, that's what minutes to go and we're on live and it's 3 minutes to go.
Can you hear me there? Anyone home?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I'm only getting a fraction of what's being said there by the sound of it.
Just not talking. You want to try talking into the microphone?
Oh,
Is that better, Brian?
Quiet, Brian.
That's a lot better. Yep.
So we might see clearly into your mics.
Rightio, no worries, that's better.
Sorry. I dare.
That's what you say. Average.
That's naughty.
Oh.
Mm. Welcome everyone to the April 23rd, 2025 meeting. We have one speaker this evening in public forum, which is Catherine Stewart. I invite Catherine to please come forward and give a presentation. Thank you, Catherine. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to, especially the Mayor, Councillors and General Manager, Acting General Manager, and Council staff. As you know, my name is Catherine Stewart. I've been asked to come here to speak on behalf of some of regarding the issues raised by the objectors in relation to the development of Appendix Item 1, Planning Environment DA 10, 25, 22.1. Firstly, the drainage and flooding is a very clear issue from the residents, and I'll just read off what I've got. Page 6 of the Council Gender Office report states both stages of development will include associated earthworks, civil works, including installation of essential infrastructure such as water, sewer, underground power and stormwater drainage systems. The applicant has not provided details within the SEE or the subdivision plans on how the pipe road drainage system to the northern boundary is conveyed to the retardant basin on the eastern corner of Urana Road. The only information visible and available is for reference to refer to map 3, the drainage service plan, which you've all got a copy of, where it shows on the south, on the drainage service plan of the south, gender low density residential precinct DCP. It's a big one. Provide internal road drainage is piped to the northern boundary. Then the stormwater is disposed by swale drains, which you've got a copy provided to you all. This is clearly unacceptable. It will cause flooding to the adjoining lots on the northern boundary and surrounding areas. Our residential development of this size, stormwater drainage should only be piped to prevent future overland flooding in the immediate and surrounding areas in Gingera and soil erosion. Swales are never maintained. Over time, residents remove them for easy maintenance on their properties. Extensive flooding occurred through Gingera in 2022. The reason given to insurance companies to that charge massive increase in insurance bills was due to unmaintained creeks and watercourses. So residents that have spoken to me that live along the canals in certain areas throughout Gingera, their insurance bills are about $6,000 now because of this. And in reading the Gingera flood study, there is also items in there which that's one of the main causes of town flooding. Following the Gingera community meeting on Tuesday, the 15th of April 25, I met with Council's engineer, Greg Blackie, and who advised that all stormwater on the development site will be piped. So again, subdivision plans that's referred to reference 28776, page 2, there's 2 pages as submitted with the DA, provide all other essential services, but no stormwater on the northern boundary. The applicant's response, letter dated the 25th of March 25, and result of this statement being made in the submissions, their statement advised, proposed subdivision is designed in accordance with best practice engineering design. Still does not provide the answer to the question or provide any detail. 2, tree removals. The proposal also involves the removal of several planted trees to facilitate subdivision works. The subdivision plan submitted with the application has not identified actual trees on site to be removed or retained. The northern boundary is identified to manage the disposal of all sewer and stormwater management from the site. There are several large trees centre, which you've got a map there of that aerial view of the properties. On the site on both sides of the property boundary, which has not been recommended or any suggestions of any point raised in either the officer's report or the application. Referral to Fig 2 and 3 of the aerial view that follows page 7 of the Annexure 1 or page 9 of the SEE clearly identifies several large trees on near the northern boundary, which is the copy I've provided you. The trees will require removal to allow the extension installation of infrastructure, the sewer and stormwater management contained within an easement to ensure the integrity and future maintenance of council's infrastructure. If the trees on the adjoining properties require removal, the developer/property owner will require adjoining owner's consent and possibly council approval, and the owner to be compensated with a suitable replacement tree. Alternatively, all subdivision works will require great setback within the development site from the northern boundary. Removal of these trees will also help facilitate the erection of new boundary fencing. Item 3, fencing and existing and proposed. Applicant advised that developer does not propose to alter any existing common boundary fencing. The owners adjoining the site advised their fencing height material restrictions on their property title, which require open farm fencing. If the developer proposes 1.8 metre colour-bond fencing, they will need to erect within the property boundaries. Map 3, page of drainage service plan, which you've got a copy of, states fencing on the northern boundary to be perforated fencing. Traffic impacts. Traffic had undertaken monitoring Pioneer Road recently. which was a concern of one of the submissions. Does council have the results of this? Will council undertake periodic traffic monitoring during the course of stage releases? At my meeting with Engineer Greg Blackie on Wednesday, Greg advised Pioneer Drive will be the next main arterial road in Gindra due to the growth in land developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Councillors.
Yeah, I do. Catherine, I didn't expect that, and you speak very well, so thank you for coming along tonight. I'm just wondering, without being disrespectful here, can you just tell us a little bit about your background?
Myself?
Obviously, you've got it in development applications and all that sort of stuff.
Over my 50 work career, I've worked in all levels of government, federal, state and local. And my recent role was in local government, which I spent nearly 37 years in.
You're resetting.
Yeah, just that's working. That's
They don't need to be doing.
I don't know.
Well, they're working.
It's just giving us a thumbs
Yeah,
up.
okay.
Let's next. In accordance with council code of meeting practice, the council meeting is being recorded and posted on its webpage for public information. All present today are reminded that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You are also reminded that if or when speaking, you are respectful of others in appropriate language. Breaking council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks, suggestions, during this meeting. Council, could you please do that?
You'll have the board's friend, a special petition that will be signed tonight. By what you are looking at, working and having involved with that, give us a say, and I'm very good to the centers. And we can give that as trespass against us, and then just got the patient. I think that's legal.
Thank you. We have, management of council. And we have some apologies and some applications, of leave of absence from councillor Hicks. And we have two applications for attendance by audio revision by councillor Morton and councillor Liston.
Consider agreement with the two.
So moved by councillor King and seconded by councillor Moore. Thank you very much. Confirmation of minutes from the last meeting. Could I have a minute?
Excellent, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. All those in favour?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
It's actually a typo, I think.
Yeah.
On page 20, 33, just in regard to the motion, or the amendment about all better health. Point 2, it says the current motion be left on the table poll. We seek a briefing, I think, why.
Yes. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't pick that up. Mr. Vote.
Yes, well done. Thank you. Any other amendments to the minutes? If not, I'll put that. All those in favour? All in favour? Declare it carried. We've got the action report from the minutes. Please state the item number or the code number and the page number if you have some questions or comments.
Six, so code 6776. Just before you read, you ran a road, I'm assuming it was Gingra. Because, can we just, like I did last week, just requesting a little bit more information on, a lot of these reports, just so that we.
Plan.
Yes, that's what we're going to hit around exactly,
Where is?
yes.
I would agree with that, councillor Yurt.
Yeah, this one is in relation to Ginra. It's on the southern side of Ginra.
Yeah.
On the Albury side of Ginra.
Yeah.
So moving forward, can we just have more clarification on the DA perhaps?
Yes, that's because I'm in.
Yeah.
You're right, that's right.
Yeah.
Gingra through the 400.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yep.
Any other comments? For the I'm just keeping an eye on two councillors on line. Any other any comments or questions, councillor Morton, councillor Linda? This one? No? Very good. So what are the no, that's fine. Sorry. Action report, no, that, sorry. Disclosures of interest. Any disclosures of interest? Oh. Thank you. No more minutes, no notice of motion, reports from officers, so officers report part A, determination environmental planning, development application 10.2025.21, 22.1, subdivision of the three lots in Jingle. Can we have a move and second if I can get my tongue around this? Thank you, Councillor Neil. Second. Councillor Hooper, is there any discussion, questions?
Not that I'm against the development, I think it's important that every councillor knows where this is. It has a big effect, all the development that's there, but it's going to happen, it's all zoned that way, on the infrastructure in general. It's important that, I might be there too much longer, if the board is going to work with those in future to know where, because it's going to be quite the cost of infrastructure. They are different. Because believe it or not, every time you turn a sign, it changes the direction of the water. And all these places are going good. And lots of development in each allotment, and a lot of tar, and a lot of water connected to the central. So I just think that if we hold it up for a month, like Paul said, he done, give everyone the opportunity to look at it and understand what's happening in Bidwell. Because there's an enormous growth corridor south of Bidwell.
Thank you, Councillor. So I'll push that. Any other comments before we put that?
Yeah, I just personally feel like there's a lot of, well, given the submissions, that there's a lot of things that do concern me, especially points made on page 5 of the lack of supporting infrastructure. The last thing council wants to do is approve development applications and then put part of those sort of things. That needs to be at the cost of the developer rather than council.
So I'd like Mr. Blackie to speak to that, because we've had a conversation about that beforehand, and I'd like all going to speak to as well.
Yeah, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
Could talk to the footpath question. Which one are you?
I'm happy to talk. So just pretty much me. We're going to footpaths, all continuous streets in development has footpaths, will be constructed. So the only streets that won't be constructed footpath is where it goes to a court. In this situation, both streets are proposed to have footpaths. Development plus labour and development, they will connect the footpath back to Piney Drive, so there will be continuous footpaths from this development into Piney Drive, which links the rest of the network.
Okay, so the developer will be
The developer will be paying for that. He is paid full cost of street widening footpath, and currently our standard is that it's a continuous street, it's not a dead end street. Footpath will be constructed on one side, not both sides, on one side.
Just one more question. Is there any reason why, like when we're explaining the development application right at the top of each page for the whole development, why it doesn't actually have the development? Because I have to read for probably half an hour until I find out who the actual developer is. So is there a reason why we don't?
What
who
the
developer is? Yeah.
I'll ask them in the plan legislation, normally the application, so that it's supposed to be coming for. So in this instance, we don't have to normally put that in on the report like that. It's where who is it, who the applicant is, so therefore, if it doesn't really put any weight on the application, so therefore it's not necessarily need to be in the report.
Yeah, that's I understand that, but it's like if a like that comes to me and says, well, who's on this development? I'm going to read for half an hour until I find out who it is. So is it possible that we actually have that included?
We have not included that in the notification and the associated plan. So if you get a letter from council saying this development on the agenda, and then if you go jump on the planning portal or council website, and you would have access to all the documents. and you can clearly see who's it coming from and who's the developer and who's the student and everything there.
Yeah.
But we can move forward, we can go that.
Yeah, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
And there was some question around the drains, and I did have a conversation with both the acting general manager and the director of engineering about that. That has been changed since that first plan. Would you like to talk about that?
Oh, we may now have to do, just reinforce what was spoken to at the, on the forum, is that this estate is clearly got pipe drainage system. It doesn't have, swale drains in it. The original master plan indicated swale drains, that was the original concept plan, but obviously the developer upgraded that to full curb channel and pipe drainage system, so that's not the standard that applied across the full master plan area. So it's all piped with curb channel and swale drains.
Councillor Morgan and Councillor, do you have anything, any questions? Anything from Councillor Morgan and Councillor Lister? Thank you. So the amendment is to lay the report on the table until next month's council meeting, is that right, Mr. Councillor? And Councillor, you second it? So that is the amendment, that's the amendment. All those in favour? All those in favour? I can't see Councillor Lister.
He's got his camera off.
Councillor Lister, can you turn your camera on for us, please?
For chat.
Technology's got on this.
Yeah, technology is fine.
Mm.
So, all those in favour, Councillor Quinn, Councillor Lynn, Councillor Hooper, Councillor Parker, all in favour, and against, well, not too sure, Councillor Beale, Councillor Morton, and I presume Councillor Lister, then that would be the motion, so it'll be laid on the table until next month.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
So,
Kerry's just asked, could the motion be repeated?
the motion will be that the report will be laid on the table for next month's meeting, the main meeting. So that will be the motion now. So Councillor Quinn and Councillor Lynn, you're happy to be in the second? All those in favour? All in favour?
Blind in favour?
Is
I think we have to pause.
Sorry, we're going to have to pause again.
he's got his voting. He's got his, can you bring him? It's fine.
So,
You know. Okay, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I think somehow we've got to get what you're talking up there too, so people can follow the motion and that. So we need to adjust that to pausing if we can. Is that possible?
So that's one.
I think we need to have your screen on.
Yeah, so the amendment was. I think the speakers aren't making complete. Are they supposed to be green?
do I need to be speaking louder?
No,
Well, they're green now, so we might get a bit better at that. We're green now.
Can you hear me all right?
We were trialing not having
Can you hear me all right?
the minute taking going up on the screen, but I actually think we have to have the minutes up on the screen too. Yeah, you're not sharing it.
But how are we going to see it, councillor? Have you got the other councillors? Got to still see them. I can anyway, once we share, actually.
It's
Do it the absent call.
Yeah. So one, oh yeah, and as well.
Councillor Shilton.
Just to test
Terry and Brian, we've changed speakers. Can you hear us clearly?
That's a lot better now.
Okay, so we just need mute when we're not speaking, cameras on, and then unmute when you're ready to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Much better.
We good, Louise?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Item 2, the section 712 contribution plan. Thank you, Guyan, for your report. I thought it was really good. Thank you for that. So there's a recommendation on page 40. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Thanks, Councillor O'Neill.
I'll put an amendment to that, right?
Seconder for the. Thank you. And your amendment, Councillor Hooper?
Yeah, I just would like to amend the shade at Waller, given the fact that we've knocked back shade and car parks as a precedent in Gindera. Why we're now suggesting we put shade sales over a car park for $100,000. I think that we could better allocate that money within Waller. I know that the precinct water tower is a project that they'd like to get off the ground, so I'd like to make an amendment that we look to reallocate that money from the car park to do some work towards that precinct.
So number 5, remove number 5.
Yes.
If you're interested, Councillor Hooper, I'd actually prefer to leave this one lay on the table for a month as well. So we've got an opportunity at a workshop to discuss it more thoroughly. Then we can work out, because I'm sure there's more than 10 items that would be requiring funding and potentially urgent funding, that we actually see what's been presented as a whole. And then we can actually then, as councillors, workshop and decide which we think are a priority ahead of the others, and then allocate funding as that goes. Because I feel that we haven't done due process and given this enough time yet.
Well, we've got an amendment, so we need to vote on the amendment first, because yours is
not a seconder.
Right. So, Councillor Hooper, you're moving the amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to move that amendment.
Sure. Councillor O'Neill, you'll second it. So all those in favour of the amendment? Councillor Hooper? Amendment. We had a mover. We had Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Morton move the motion. We've now got an amendment.
Can I just speak to Ash's point? Is that I just think given that this is to move it to go to exhibition, and then we'd seek some further commentary I think that discussion should happen. I think that we should look to get this out on exhibition, take on board the comments, and then we can have the further workshop discussion, in my view.
Yeah, the only tricky bit is once people see something on exhibition, like say one of these, they think, oh, beauty, the money's coming, we've got it. And then it goes out to exhibition and the community say, no, we don't want that, and it's really strong. Well, then, hey, we've lost it. And then we're faced with the same issue which happened at Gindera. It's like 1 minute dog park's there, the next minute it's not, and nobody knows why or how.
So we've got an amendment. We need to vote on the amendment. All those in favour of the amendment? So Councillor Hooper, Councillor Quinn, Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Parker and Councillor Morton. I've declared that carried. So that amendment now becomes the motion. Would you like to move it and second it? Thank you, Councillor Hooper and Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? All those in favour. Against is Councillor Lindner. So I declared that carried. Thank you. Gee, you're testing me tonight, guys. Item 3, variation to the scope of the Greater Hume Council settlement strategy. There's just a little bit of a variation. The recommendations on page 42. I think it's a good idea. Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Thank you, Councillor Linda. Any comments? No? Put it. All those in favour? All in favour. Declare it carried. Number 4, bushfire mapping update policy.
The recommendation, but how on earth did we get it out to the public? This is a good time we put it on the portal or put it on this. This concerns generally rural ratepayers. It's always been a mismatch I've been in the fire brigade system for mega years, and we see some very unusual pieces of land that have got a blanket over it. So,
And through you,
Can
Madam
I
Mayor,
get a seconder? Who's the seconder? Who's the seconder? Thank you, councillor Hooper.
I'm happy to elaborate a little bit more if councillors are reminded. So the effect of the mapping, the Rural Fire Services are certainly looking to extend the mapping to a large degree right across the council area, and that is because a large percentage of our council area they consider to be grasslands, and they're wanting to have some controls in to manage grassland fires. And the effects of this, whilst we do need to put it widely across the council to advertise it, but the effects of it for most people won't be that. It won't have that big of an impact on them to a large degree, because most of the mapping that's being included, like I said, is grassland. And when the houses are built, there's different building requirements depending on the bushfire that they're impacted upon. And with grassland is the lowest, and that would be a bushfire attack levels 12.5 and 19. And so somebody looking to build a house in those areas would have some controls put on them, but they would be pretty minimal controls. Really, BAL 12.5, BAL 19, I think could increase the price of a house by $5,000 to $10,000, because it'll be things like seals around doors, wire fly screens, gutter guard, very minimal controls. And so the impacts of that will only be on anyone building in the newly mapped area. And the other effect will be people that are doing subdivisions in that area as well. But so we're talking rural subdivisions, and there'd be some requirements for existing houses to be upgraded as part of that. But some of those upgrades would be quite minimal as well. And so I feel whilst the mapping is certainly increased in the land area that it's capturing, the actual impacts would be quite minimal for most people. But we do need to exhibit it, but it isn't bigger than what it actually is. Like in terms of the impacts on the wider community, there won't be a major impact on the wider community as a result of the mapping. It'll only be those people looking to build in a rural setting in a grassland, so predominantly on farmland, and then people looking to subdivide farmland. They will be the impacts, but for most people, it wouldn't have. Most ratepayers wouldn't have much of an impact. This increased mapping.
my problem, Mr. Acting GM, is how do you get this information out? It's all very well for you people up in the front bench. You're all technocrats and you understand the modern world. But I actually represent a big percentage of the other world who don't go into this sort of stuff. But to give you an example, what happened in the last 15 months, there was a subdivision between Ginger and what did we say? It was held up for about 6 or 8 months. Rural Fire Service said there's got to be signs there saying where the dam is and all this sort of thing, and that was all very well. You could have painted the sign, but no, they had to make the special signs, and none of them were available. And eventually the whip was cracked, and it did happen. But this is, you know, I suppose there was probably $3 million involved in that total transaction. Now that money's just held up, could have been invested somewhere else. You shouldn't be able to do this to people who are going to, because development is what makes the world tick. Whether you like development or not, you know, most people have a house built next to their house, but the fact of the matter is the developers make the world tick. And they keep our shire in business too, because the more ratepayers we get, the better sort of thing. But anyway, just it's a question that.
You think that we need to have a hard copy in all our customer service, you know, outlets and libraries?
Well, possibly, Madam Mayor, that'd be a start anyway.
Yeah.
Or just
I think,
go on.
you know, the recommendation is talking about putting ads in local newspapers, which is typically not done anymore for planning because the Department of Planning took that requirement away. But, you know, here the report's offering that up, placing an ad in a local newspaper, as well as our website and social media scenes. It's pretty extensive what we're saying we're going to do, in my mind, in terms of the public exhibition. There's really not much else you can do than that. You can't send in every individual landowner a letter. I think that would be a bridge too far, but because that's a very, very big undertaking that we only do on occasions. But
we could put it in our newsletter though, our
We can-
quarterly newsletter.
well,
We
yes.
could definitely put it in there
it's,
that it's
yeah.
been updated.
I mean, it's given me an extra job that I didn't want because I've got plenty of jobs in the drought time. But I associate with Fire Brigade, and so I'm going to have to tell each of them that we call a meeting in their area because I don't want somebody to come in 12 months' time and say, Quinny, why didn't you tell me this was happening? So anyway, you partly answered the question.
Well, maybe we should write to all the Rural Fire Service, like captains in our shire, and tell them it's been done. Perhaps.
They are supposed to be informing their members.
No.
I think that we need to be proactive in writing to the RFS captains and.
It'd be a great
Don't you
idea,
think?
Madam Mayor, if the
Are
council.
you happy with that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, movement second. Are you happy to put that as an amendment? Is that all right? As an addition?
That's a good idea. Yeah,
Yes?
I do.
Yep.
Just a further question on it. In the mapping, has any of the mapping been based on postcodes at all?
No. So I don't believe so. The mapping was supplied to us from Rural Fire Service, and they would have done that from various. Their method of obtaining that would probably be from looking at aerial photos and other imagery, and determining what areas it should be mapped in terms of fire category.
Yep.
But it wouldn't be like how insurance companies operate. It would have been more a case of high level vegetation surveys, not necessarily ground proof. That would not have happened, but it would have been high level vegetation surveys from imagery and other mapping that they would have that produced the map.
Yeah. So, well, the reason for the question is just recently I had to look into an insurance policy on my house, and we're inquiring about why it went up $1,200. They said it's because it was in a high fire risk area, and the insurance company said that's based on your council mapping. And so what we've discovered is that there's 3 communities within Greater Hume that also share the same postcode as other communities up in the Tumbarumba district and Tumut district, which are subject to extensive fire. And so quite potentially postcodes may well be linking insurance costings. And that was definitely from the underwriter. They said it's to do with your council mapping of bushfires.
Well, look, that could be how the insurance companies are operating to determine premiums, but I don't believe that this mapping's been based on postcodes. They may take it and use it and extrapolate it that way in determining their premiums, but mapping itself, like I said, would have been done with imagery for sure.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just want to point out there is a copy of the map in the annexure.
Yeah, I know, it was very, very hard to read.
Yeah, it's a bit small,
Even
but
with a magnifying glass.
you can see from that it's not postcode related.
No.
It's purely done from, obviously, I think aerial photography over that area. Looking at what's tree and what's grassland. I'd say that's what they've done.
Especially forestry,
You'd see it.
well, or national parks.
Yeah.
Over in our woods.
Yeah,
Very
so
shocked at that.
once you're out of the village areas, essentially you're in a grassland situation. That's what they're saying, and that's been the position of the of the Rural Fire Service for some time. And there has been a bit of reluctance to accept that, but it is what it is, and that's the situation now. And we have to adopt that mapping for a risk management basis, and otherwise we could be approving houses with really inadequate controls for bushfire. And like I said, coming back to what I originally said, in that grassland setting, the controls are usually quite affordable. They're not that expensive at that for a grassland setting.
Yeah. Well, the example I used wasn't grassland; it was in town.
Yep. But we can't control. Council can't control how insurance companies want to apply their premiums.
Sonia, can we just change departments to brigades, please, on Part D? Sorry about that. And Councillor Quinn and Councillor Hooper, are you, I suppose I have to put that as an amendment. So are you happy to move the amendment with Part D that all rural fire brigades within the Greater Hume Council will be notified of the proposed bushfire prone map?
Can I ask a question just on that, if councillors, could we achieve that more efficiently by going through head office in Albury and having them circulated? Obviously, for us obtaining all those captain details, I don't believe we've got that database, but they would. Couldn't we say that we provide that to the central command in Albury and have them distribute it?
Councillor Quinn, you're in.
Things may have changed, Madam Mayor and Mr. Acting General Manager, but 12 months or so ago with the CEO that was in Albury, certainly wouldn't have done that. It's worth a try.
Or we could ask for the information.
Well, one email
Captains.
their database.
We could ask for the captains.
Either way, but if we could just adopt that, amend that proposed amendment to just say that if we can achieve the same end by going through the central command, it'd be for efficiency. That would be a lot better because there's a lot of brigades in Greater Hume, and
only 68.
68. Yeah, I'd imagine they'd be able to do that with a blanket email though. Why we couldn't necessarily do that, and so I would say they would be able to efficiently provide that information.
We'll make sure that we follow that up, Councillor Quinn, with your brigade. And
I'm not being pedantic or argumentative.
No.
The only catch is that the Rural Fire Service will send an email out to all the secretaries of the brigades, and they're all volunteers. And in the middle of a drought, they've got other things to do. Anyway, we'll try that.
All right, we'll try that for efficiency. So I think that's probably a good way to go.
so Councillor Quinn and Councillor Hooper are happy with the amendment and Part D or D. So I'll put that as the amendment for all those in favour. All those in favour, declare that carried. So that will now become the motion. So you're happy to move it, Councillor Quinn and Councillor Hooper? Yes. All those in favour? All those in favour, declare it carried. Thank you. Governance. Number 1, voluntary planning agreement for the proposed Ginger battery energy storage system.
Do the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Councillor Linder is seconder. Any commentary? No? Yep.
Unmute yourself, Kerry.
Councillor Morton.
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment to that. I'm unhappy with the reply that we received from the Minister Scully on regards to this, given that this will not be the last project that is proposed with using New South Wales planning for VPAs. I think it's setting a precedent for the future. If we shall have a change in government, a change in energy strategy throughout Australia over the next couple of years, given that we have a federal election impending, and the subscriptions of such projects will increase in either way. We're talking about capacity here. I'm just saying that the amount of money each time will have to be shared around. My concern is that these companies such as Grand Solar may face financial difficulty, and communities will be cut off and let down. I know that I realise that Mr. Scully said that there's really not much we can do. We are merely giving them permission to go ahead and submit their application. However, I think at some stage we need to let them know that we're sceptical as to the future of it, and we want to have a better voice in negotiating the amount of funding that's provided to local government. In saying that, there's not much I can do at this stage, so I'll pass back to you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Morton. Any other comments? No? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Hooper, Councillor Linda, Councillor Quinn, Councillor Parker. And against? Councillor Morton, you're against?
I raised her hand.
Yeah, against or for, sorry.
Oh, sorry, against.
Against. Yep. Councillor Liston, he was for? For. Thank you. I declare it carried. Corporate and Community Services, adoption of the Community Strategic Plan 25-35. Thank you, Councillor Lindner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Any commentary? No? Motion, all in favour? All in favour? Declared it carried. Policy adoption on page 56. Recommend. I move the recommendation. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Lindner. Any commentary? No? Put it. All in favour? All in favour? Page 57, signing of contract for residents and service contract for Unit 6, Carla Court, Holbrook. Councillor Quinn, Councillor Lindner. Any comments? No? Put it. All in favour? Declare it carried. Sorry, that's hard. Sorry, Number 4, Shop 1, 76 Commercial Street, Walla Walla, lease between WA Credit Union and Greater Hume Council. Authority to execute on page 58.
I'll move that one.
Thank you, Councillor Morton, Councillor Linda. Any commentary? No. Put that. All in favour? All in favour here. Thank you. Declared it carried. Page 59, engineering, developer proposed road names Gendra. I'll move that. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Lindner. Any comments? No. I'll put that. All in favour? All in favour here. Declare that carried. Developer proposed names for Walla Walla.
I move the name submitted.
Thank you, Councillor Quinn. Thank you, Councillor Linda. Any comments? No. I'll put that. All in favour? All in favour here. Declared it carried. Proposed Wontagong Bridge naming. There's a recommendation on page 61.
I'll move that one, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Morton and Councillor O'Neill. Yes, very appropriate. Any comments? No? I'll put that. All in favour? All in favour. Declared that carried. Part B, Corporate and Community Services Grant Submission Report. I'm loving that report that we get each month. It's really, really good. It's very, very helpful. Recommendations on page 62.
I'll move we adopt both B and C.
B and C. And there is a D as well, I think, Councillor.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Happy to second it, Councillor Lindner. So Councillor Quinn and Councillor Lindner.
Yeah, I've just got a
Couple of questions? Yeah, sure.
Just on page 80 of 84, I'm just querying $14,000 in vandalism. Can anyone tell us what's happened and whereabouts?
Thank you.
Yep. Through Madam Mayor, I'm happy to provide some, I haven't got it all in front of me, but there was extensive damage done at Gindra in toilet facilities down there where some local people got in and broke a lot of the bowls and things like that, had to be replaced. And the other cost that was here was the playground here in Colcan. They got glass from recycling and smashed them into the mulch of the actual under the slides. We had to close that and we had to totally remove all the mulch and had to remulch the whole thing. So that was the majority of the cost. It was about $89,000 doing that. And there was a few thousand in Gindra in that regard too, some toilets that have been damaged.
We have actually raised it at the Colcan CDC meeting, Councillor Lindner, because the more people know about it, the more people can keep an eye out what's going on. And they do, and we said, you do realise that that's less money that you get to spend on your town.
The other thing that would be interesting is $14,000 would buy a lot of surveillance too.
At toilets, it's tricky.
It can provide some evidence later, but sometimes it's doesn't provide everything you need. And then to do it, what we've done at Colcan is that they could obviously, it wasn't our facility, it was the Colcan community facility of the recycling, but people could actually put their hands in and get hold of bottles, and that's what they did. They've actually now changed it so they physically can't get in and get them. So it was just unfortunate when they smashed it into the playground area that once it gets to the emulsion, it was impossible to get it out. So we had to remove the whole thing. And of course, then we had to fence it too till we got it out, and it just adds cost. So
It's very disappointing. But the more people know about it, the more that we can keep our eyes out, and the local police are informed about it too. We now have a policeman full time in Colcan. We need to address the Gindra police issue because we don't have one down there. But I think that's really important to have a great relationship with our local police, men and women, and you know we're very much on the same page. Yep.
Well, is there any chance at our next workshop we can talk about surveillance cameras and look into costs? And
the superintendent offered to come and speak to us as well, and I might invite him to come along. We might invite him to come along to the next workshop, maybe, or the one after. Actually, the next workshop's really
It's pretty full, but June might be a possibility.
Yeah, he'd like to come and do that, Councillor Innes. So I think that's a good idea.
Certainly easy ways around surveillance cameras and toilet blocks as well, without privacy.
Yep. Point taken. Yep. Any other questions in part B, C or D? Just checking my note. Sorry. Good. So I'll put that all in favour. Declare it carried. And that's it. No matter emergencies. Closed at 6:50.